The next few minutes we'll tour the main components of IFTDSS. Right now I'm on My Home, and at the very top of the page, this top navigation bar, it'll be available no matter which page in IFTDSS you're on, and it has links to the main components of the application: the landscape planning cycle, My Workspace, Map Studio, Playground, FTEM, and over on the right, additional links for help and your IFTDSS profile. The cycle or planning cycle is the main navigation aid in IFTDSS to quickly get you to specific tasks, and it is based on stages of landscape planning. For example, our first stage up here, landscape evaluation, has tiles to create a landscape summary, make landscape edits, or run fire behavior. You'll also see a tile here, compare landscapes, that has a yellow future development banner at the bottom of it. You'll see some of these throughout the cycle, and these are placeholders for features that are slated to be built into IFTDSS in the future. And you can see as you go through the cycle, there's stages for strategic planning, implementation planning, monitoring, reporting, backup to landscape evaluation. Strategic planning has features like comparing weather and developing treatment alternatives, as well as several tasks for hazard, exposure, and risk assessment, like mapping values on the landscape and running risk assessments. Implementation planning has some of these core IFTDSS tools again, such as create, upload landscape, making landscape edits, or running fire behavior, as well as comparing weather. Monitoring right now is primarily geared towards federal fire and fuel staff. So we have a link to the Fuels Treatment Effectiveness Monitoring, or FTEM, FFI Data Depot for some users, and the Fire Effects Information System, FEIS. And reporting at the moment mainly focuses on FTEM reports, again for federal fuels and fire staff. My Workspace is the file repository for IFTDSS, so every landscape or shapefile you upload or create in IFTDSS, any model outputs, map values, any resource you create in IFTDSS will be available here and saved in My Workspace. Like your computer, you can see it's set up in a folder structure. We've got a prompt to create a folder here in the top left. There's also a list of folders in Workspace here in the bottom left. And if I hover over these folder options to change the folder name or delete folders. Once you get several files in here, these filters in the top left are pretty helpful. There's the general search field as well as filters to search files by type. To view file metadata, you can left click on the file and that'll display in the right hand panel. To see file options, click the File Options button here on the far right of each row. You can also see these options by single right-clicking on the file. And these options change a little bit depending on which kind of file you're looking at. So you can see here for a landscape, we've got options to view on map, make edits. If the landscape had been edited, we'd have options to view those edit rules. Download, delete, request a summary report, or move to a different folder. Map Studio is the geospatial interface in IFTDSS. There's a whole set of widgets here along the bottom that allow you to create or upload landscapes or add landscapes to the map. Similarly, there's widgets to add completed fire behavior outputs, as well as the layer list and options to add shapes or several of the reference layers that are in IFTDSS. And there's really a lot more you can do in the IFTDSS Map Studio. For a full rundown, we'd strongly suggest having a look at the Map Studio section of the IFTDSS Help Center for a full list of all that can be done in here. Modeling Playground is the modeling interface of IFTDSS. So from this Select Model to Run button here in the top, you can choose between the models currently available in IFTDSS, such as Landscape Fire Behavior Basic, MTT Fire Spread, and landscape burn probability. Clicking on any of these will take you to a model input page where you can start populating those model inputs. It also has a table similar to that in my workspace where you can see a display of files, hovering or clicking on the files to see the metadata in the right-hand panel, or selecting more options or right-clicking to see the file options. And for models, you'll also notice a file option called Copy, and that pops up here in Playground and Workspace. That just allows you to quickly copy a model run. Say you want to use a set of model inputs and maybe change just one or two things. You can pretty easily just make a copy of that model run, make your change to one or two of the inputs, and start the model. FTEM stands for Fuels Treatment Effectiveness Monitoring. We're not going to go into a whole lot of depth here because it is a feature that is limited to federal fire and fuel staff tasked with monitoring the effectiveness of fuel treatments following wildfire. FTEM is covered extensively in our Help Center. For help, we've got links to the Help Center. About this page will open up a help topic specific to the part of IFTDSS you're in. So for example, Playground opens up the Modeling Playground help page. We have links to our user forum if you want to go through user responses and the IFTDSS community. And then if all else fails, this request a support link will take you to a ticket field so you can send in a tech support ticket and the IFTDSS support desk will reach out. A couple additional help resources. Every page, with the exception of Map Studio, has one of these right-hand panels to read a short description of the task that you're currently in. It'll go through a description of the tasks and helpful notes, as well as links to help topics about that task. And then if you're stuck on a specific part, many input fields in IFTDSS will have a question mark icon where you can view a short pop-up description about that input, and again, a link to more information. Finally, there's a link to the user profile. So from here, you can change any field in your user profile with the exception of username right now. So once username is created, that is pretty well set in stone as far as IFTDSS is concerned. But first name, last name, email, edits to your security question or answer can all be done here in the user profile. And that is a really brief tour of the main components of IFTDSS.